What's up, guys? I want to ask Leon, how can he hook me up with some Wingstop?
You know I got you all day, brother. What you need? I'll take your order right now. What you want?
10-piece lemon pepper.
There you go.
Crispy, baby.
Extra crispy, deep fried. All
Hey,
right.
look, now it's Groundhog Day and this thing is taking forever. I think I'm going to go through a 5-year expedited coaching experience and then throw my name in a hat. By the time I'm done with that little experiment, I should be ready to be available to be a coach there. I don't know what's going on, but we got to get something in place.
Yeah, and I think we should start here, Freddie, and just sound off on it because Jaguar fans, A, they love you, and B, they know that what you say should mean something to the franchise. So before we get back to your recruiting days and all of that kind of good memories, just why do you think this is happening this way?
You know, I really believe that they're just trying to get it right. And sometimes when you wait, you don't necessarily always get it right because this is my take. You know, I'm not sure if you guys heard that saying before, slow feet don't eat. You got to make these decisions fast and just be decisive and live with it. Because what I do know is that the longer you wait, whoever you decide to hire, they're not going to have a lot of good talent as far as staff to choose from. And having a great staff is just as important as having, you know, a head guy in place that are going to call the shot. A head coach, his strength is he has to be as good as his staff and vice versa. Got to be a lot of communication going on there, et cetera, et cetera. But I really believe that the longer they wait, then you tend to hurt yourself and being able to not have the coach or the head guy you select not being able to pick the right guys to join him. So, but again, I'm not 100% sure why it's taking so long. But I would like to see something happen here shortly. Free agency will be here before you know it.
Yeah, Freddie T, why did the organization shuffle their feet when it came to Byron Leftwich? I mean, it was a lot of former players that had played with Byron and knew Byron that had his back in social media and all that kind of stuff. And it seemed like a fairy tale story. Hey, former Jaguar comes back and saves the organization. Why do you think the organization they weren't compelled to hire Byron Leftwich with the credentials that he has and the Super Bowl ring?
You know, I'm not 100% sure, Leon. You know, I'm biased Byron, obviously, but I'm also biased Jaguar. You know, I want greatness for the organization. I'm going to be a Jaguar until I'm no longer able to breathe. But I do know Byron, having been a teammate there in the locker room with Byron, in the meeting rooms with Byron. Remember young Byron learning under Coach Bill Musgrave and all the other coaches that he was able to learn from. But when you look at him and you see that he's a product of now Bill Arian. And when you look around the NFL, I had a conversation with Gene Fournette a few days ago. Most of the guys that are successful as coaches are typically the backup quarterbacks. Byron ended up being a journeyman backup for majority of his career, and he was able to learn a lot. He learned a lot in Pittsburgh. He learned stuff in Atlanta. You know, he learned under Bruce Arians, then being a young offense coordinator there in Arizona, and then coming over to Tampa. One other person that he learned under was Tom Brady, the GOAT, the greatest quarterback ever. And not only that, indirectly, he learned from Coach Bill Belichick, because I'm sure 100% knowing Tom, having played there, he and Byron had extensive conversations and strategizing and game planning. So all of that holds weight with me, along with Byron, just knowing Byron as a person. I think he can be a good communicator, a motivator. He knows the game. I don't understand why, there was a pivot right there in that process, in the interview process. But it'll all come to light at some point. Just hope they choose whoever they decide to go with sooner than later, so the coach can build his staff and eventually start looking at these decisions that need to be made in free agency and for the draft.
Fred, would you like the ownership to reach out to like you and Tony and Jimmy and Leon, and for nothing else, just to get your ideas and your opinions about what it was like when it was successful, how you guys did it, and what they can do to kind of move the franchise toward that?
I'm always open for those opportunities to share my opinions and thoughts with the organization. I'm smart enough to, weigh things out, and just if nothing else, just say, look, let's play devil's advocate. Let's just throw as much stuff on the board as we can. Whatever sticks, gonna stick, and make a educated decision from there. I definitely would like them to be, a lot more communicative when it comes to certain decisions. But then again, when there's ownership, a lot of times when it's your baby, you feel like you need to make those calls. Mr. Khan, he's been making tough calls his entire life in his businesses, and he's been successful. This is a different type business, but I think you're only as strong as the people you accumulate around yourself, right, and the people you go out and consult with, former coaches, former GMs, et cetera, et cetera. It's a new age of football, a lot of young talent you're seeing around coaching, all this other stuff. So it's a new game. So I really think that regardless of all of that, make a decision. Let's get it going, make a decision, live with it. Who knows what's going to happen after you make that decision? Just got to do it.
Member of the Pride of the Jaguars, Fred Taylor, here with us on XL Primetime. Fred, fans love hearing from you, and the fan base is frustrated. They're frustrated with, obviously, 12 of the last 13 years have been pretty awful, if we're going to be frank about it. And then this coaching search at times has looked like a circus. I mean, maybe people knew what they were doing with the clown masks about 3.5 weeks ago. What's your message to the fans who are angry about Balky and his involvement, who are angry about the way things have transpired to this point? One of the best players in franchise history. What do you tell the fans right now?
It's hard to tell them to be patient. It's really hard to say be patient, but, when you look at teams such as, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the amount of losing seasons they endured, it required their fan base to be patient. When you had the Saints and the Boo Bags, here recently, I wrote something on Twitter about not believing that, or not believing that I would see the Bengals make a Super Bowl before the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I asked, are we the Bengals of the late 90s, early 2000s? And I got a lot of responses there. But it's hard to say be patient, but I got to say, be patient. Let the ownership do what they have to do, good or bad. Just if you're going to be a fan of the team, you're eventually going to become a fanatic. You're going to endure this roller coaster like the rest of us. You got to understand it's the nature of the business. You're going to have good decisions, you're going to have bad decisions. The players are going to have to play. You're going to have a bit of luck. All those things got to align properly, kind of like hitting a lottery. But try your best to be patient. Try not to be as frustrated, voicing your opinions, although there are your opinions. Just try to let those decisions run its course, and hopefully we can get excited about the decision that's made and the product that's on the field. It's really hard. I'm really trying to find words. It's hard because I'm sort of impatient, but I understand the game. I understand it doesn't happen overnight. So I'm patient. I'll just sit back and look at the moves and get ready to root the team on each and every season, regardless of the outcomes.
Yeah, at least this time maybe they're taking a little more time than Shad zeroing in on Urban, and really it looked like it was one candidate only. We're talking with Fred.
That was a thing in itself, but it was the sexy, shiny object dangling in your face, and you took a bite at it, and that didn't work out. And for me, I've said that, and I'll probably get some backlash for this, probably from within the building, but I got to be open-minded and honest. whoever was involved in that hiring process, I think all people should be out the door with the candidate that was relieved of his duties. And I think it makes it easy. I don't personally know Trent per se, and I'm not asking for him to be fired. I'm just looking at that whole decision-making process. I would have personally, if I were the owner, just eliminated everything that came with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people out there agree with that. That's for sure. We're talking with Fred Taylor, a member of the Pride at Fred Taylor Made on social media. You always want to check in with him that way, and we're going to ask what you got cooking and then go back to recruiting. But an opinion on Brian Flores, this biggest piece of news, because Leon definitely sounded off on it on our show, and just a thought from you as far as some of the news that has come out.
Well, I know B-Flow personally.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him in the building, my time in New England. I remember the passion, the dedication, the hunger. He always said he wanted to be a head coach. He knew the challenges, and he went down to Miami, and he worked his butt off this past year to be able to have that team fight from the pits, of what looked like they were trending to be in the top 5 picks of the draft, but they ended up having a great second half to that season. You look at what he's done with a young quarterback in Tua, and really just trying to take that team in the right direction. I saw something Jordan Schultz said, where he said Brian Flores has been the best head coach the Dolphins has had this century, and I would agree with him on that. B-Flow is an amazing person. He's going to fight for his players. He's going to push his players, and it's just unfortunate what he's faced with. Those texts by Coach Belichick and what seems like just a checklist item with the Giants bringing him in under the Rooney Rule. It's just a bad look, no matter how you look at it. And again, it's unfortunate that someone who is as dedicated to the game as Coach Flores, he has to be the one to really, seem like he's whining or complaining by filing this lawsuit. But I believe there has to be some change. I believe that the Rooney Rule is unnecessary. It shouldn't have never been in place in 2003, I believe, is when it came to effect, because it's going to just be a checklist item. You got to look at these guys for what they're worth, look at their track record, and look at the opportunity that they have, the potential that they bring to the table. And you hire and you go from there. It's just an unfortunate situation for him, but it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, Fred T. I mean, it had to be heart-wrenching for him to make that decision to file that class action lawsuit because, like you said, he was passionate about what he does. That's like any other player that's getting himself ready for a game. You put a lot of time and energy and effort into the game of football, and for him to file that lawsuit, he had to know that. That's a career sacrificial lamb that he's offering up.
Right, and truthfully speaking, there, Leon, he's put his whole coaching career on the line. But it's bigger than his personal goals, which is what he was quoted as saying. This is about what's right and what should be corrected for the young coaches, that are down the road, the young talented. African-American coaches, because there are a lot of them out there. And I think they should be given a fair opportunity, a fair shake, and when you put their name in a hat, and not just putting it in the hat, just to create a checklist item. So hopefully something good will come out of it. At the very end of the day, he really swallowed his pride and still went on that interview knowing that the other Brian Daboll was already going to be named the coach. And again, it's a sad situation for the NFL, but they got to correct these things if they're really going to, be a leader when it comes to equality as they speak.
Yeah. I was saying this earlier, Fred T, that this is not a Roger Goodell thing, NFLPA thing, NFL thing. I was saying that earlier that the mindset of the owners has to be changed, just like it was changed in the 60s about bringing black athletes on to teams, or was changed in the 70s where, they started going after, they wouldn't allow black quarterbacks into the league. Only when the owners see the hiring black coaches as beneficial do they ultimately make change, because throughout that time period, the only way they changed their idea about bringing black players on or going after black quarterbacks when they deemed it beneficial to their organization.
Correct. Those things have happened. And again, it's so unfortunate that those things happen. But I just think now, with the light that's, it being under the spotlight now, as of yesterday, again, by Coach Flores' decision, here's an opportunity to get it right. Here's an opportunity for our owners to get out of the clubhouse and say, hey, we really got to consider just hiring the best candidate, whatever that looks like, black, white, other, it doesn't matter. But we have to understand that, these are people. These are people that have worked hard. But again, even from the owner's perspective, how do they weigh who's the best person fit for the job? So that it's a real small, margin for error there in making those decisions, because it's all going to always look like they're not hiring the minority.
Final moments here with Fred Taylor. Fred, got to ask you about Billy Napier putting together his first recruiting class in less than 60 days. Just signed a local man out of Bowles High School here in Jack Pyburn. We had him on right before you came on. As a Gator great, what do you think of Billy Napier and the job he's done very early on there in Gainesville?
Hey, we just said slow feet don't eat. Study long, study wrong. He's out there, man, and that's what you want to see. You want to see him aggressive. You want to see him out there getting ahead of this recruiting thing and getting your guys in. Because, again, the talent pool it's rich in high school, but you want to just get your guys and coach them up. You don't know what you're going to have at the end of the day, but you do want to make those decisions fast and go get the guys on campus so you can coach them up. I spoke with Coach Napier a few days ago. He reached out, just wanted to reach out to the alum to see, what he can do to just to create a camaraderie and help get Florida back to where it once was in the late 90s, early mid-2000s. So I appreciated that call. He's willing to be open-minded and listen to the former players. Whatever we can do from a recruiting standpoint within the legalities of the NCAA, I'm certainly willing to go that far, whatever that looks like, just to see if I can help him help the school get back to winning national championships.
All right, I want you to tell people what you're doing in Vegas and the latest with the new podcast, but go back to just a kid in Belle Glades and playing at Glade Central, and just how many dreams were realized by you signing on National Signing Day.
I can say this, and I always say this. I never really had the dream to make the NFL, but once I realized the opportunity was there to gain a scholarship through my play, that made me work extra hard as a player. And then when the signing day opportunity came, first you go on your recruiting trips. I only went on 4 trips. I wanted to go to Hawaii, but they wanted a commitment before they bought the plane ticket. So that was quickly tossed out. I ended up doing Michigan State, Georgia, Florida State, and Florida. Florida State was my first trip, and then I went Michigan State, Georgia, and then Florida. The last one felt like home, and I was more excited, to sign that scholarship, that letter of intent and the scholarship. And when that ink dried, I was excited as ever. Never thought it was possible, but a lot of hard work and dedication, made that part of it come true. It's just a special moment, so I can understand what all of the high schoolers went through on signing, what all of the high schoolers go through on signing day.
Hey, Fred T., you said earlier that you wanted to help the University of Florida within the legalities of the NCAA. So the brown paper bags are Gucci bags now? Y'all don't do brown paper bags no more, do you?
Come on, bro. Hey, listen, I can tell you this. We never had a guy like Nevin Shapiro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Here we go. Here we go.
Hey, we just got caught. That's all. We just got caught.
Hey, you know what they say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But
there you
I can honestly say this. I never was handed a bag of any sort during my time at UF. When I made it to the NFL, the first thing someone said was, "Hey, you're about to take a pay cut, huh?" So they were insinuating that Florida was paying me more than the Jaguars were. But we make light fun of it. But I do want to help my college, get back to greatness.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you do too, Leon, because you came.
Absolutely,
y'all worse than us.
Oh, easy.
Yeah,
I had to take that shot.
You had to. Now, tell everybody what you're doing, because you got the brand new podcast, and I think you've got it with Channing Crowder. You're out in Vegas, so give us some details.
Yeah, so I got the Pivot podcast. We're on YouTube, where you can see the show, and we're also on Apple Music right now. We're going to reserve the right to hop on Spotify because they got big checks. They got the big bags, Leah, Spotify. So strategically, we won't just put our stuff on Spotify. So if you see anything on Spotify, that's not us. But yeah, so we're out in Vegas. It's Pro Bowl here. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of players. So we're able to move around and grab guys and just have, organic, wholesome, truthful, unscripted conversations. Channing is a wild card. He's crazy. He's funny. He's Channing Crowder.
Yeah.
That's been his history. He just does and says and whatever he feels like it. And we also have Ryan Clark. Ryan is amazing. He's a real journalist. Mm-hmm. Ex-safety with the Pittsburgh Steelers turned journalist, and he's great at what he does. And he leads all conversations. And we just interject, but we try and give back off of our experiences, talking life, evergreen conversations. And that's it. It's the Pivot.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so we'll look for it. We'll make sure that we kick it out whenever we do see it. But as Freddie T just said, the Pivot, look for it wherever you listen to your podcast. Great catching up. I know we always hope that you'll pop in and we'll smoke a cigar, one of Big Surce's All-Pro Series cigar, whenever you make it back to Duval, okay?
Sounds good. I'll make sure to I'll bring in a little Basil Hayden, pour you guys up a few old fashions over there to go with that cigar.
I do like that. All right, Freddie, good talking.
All right, fellas, y'all be good, man.